Exactly 12 months back, we were in the early days of our coverage of this pandemic. The Wuhan virus was spreading through China. The world was watching. China was not sharing very much. Within weeks, the infection spread. By the end of the year, it had spread to more than 190 countries. I'm sorry to say, but it's happening all over again. There's another outbreak in China. It's growing bigger by the day. We're bringing you daily reports. We hope this isn't a repeat of last year, but whatever it is, it's best to know. So here's what we have. The caseload is growing in China. It's the worst since March 2020. The lockdowns are getting bigger, 11 regions and counting. And considering China's track record of lies and deceit, this may be a sign of things to come. China's latest outbreak is set to get bigger. For the 7th straight day today, China has officially reported more than 100 cases. And this is the official figure. More lockdowns are being imposed meanwhile, from 2 cities to now 11 regions. These are China's new clusters, 11 regions. In their notices, local governments have not used the term lockdown, but what they've imposed is as good as a lockdown. Residents are not allowed to go out. No vehicles are being allowed on the roads. Entry and exit points from these regions are being tightly monitored. What would you call this, if not a lockdown? Several cases have been found in Beijing's neighborhood. So the Communist Party has imposed new rules for entry into the capital city of China. Now, travelers coming into Beijing will be monitored for 21 days. 14 days of isolated observation, followed by an extra 7-day health monitoring, 21-day monitoring for those who enter Beijing. At least 24 provinces of China have issued notices to their citizens. They're urging them to not travel back home. For a country that was holding New Year parties just 19 days back, this is quite an anticlimax. So why has China placed such sweeping travel curbs? Because it cannot determine the scale of the outbreak. It doesn't know the extent of it. How big is this outbreak? China is not testing enough. And at the same time, it is botching up the response. We'll explain how. Look at these reports first. Beijing's new COVID-19 cases may indicate more hidden asymptomatic infections, larger testing required. The headline says it all. This report has 2 critical details. 1, that Beijing now has fresh cases. On Monday, some people tested positive. And 2, experts in China feel wider testing is needed. Possibly the entire city of Beijing needs to be tested, they say. Here's another headline. Asymptomatic infections may result in virus spreading faster, it says. This report talks about how a silent carrier infected 102 people. Despite its claims of carrying out millions of tests, China is struggling to detect asymptomatic super spreaders. All hotspots are detecting hundreds of asymptomatic cases, like Heilongjiang, where 243 people were asymptomatic. Similarly, in Hebei, more than 350 asymptomatic infections. People are worried, as they should be. Even the Global Times is saying this. Let me quote, "Why have more silent carriers been reported?" This hashtag was trending on Chinese social media with more than 400 million views. Reports say many Chinese netizens are asking if the virus has become more contagious. China is testing millions in the affected cities, but it still doesn't have accurate answers. Why is that? Because tests are inaccurate or forged. Look at what happened in Hebei. It is one of the biggest hotspots, Hebei. A lab produced false results here. This is the province where the latest outbreak began. Now, a lab here was given more than 3 lakh samples to process. The lab was overwhelmed. Its capacity was limited. So what did it do? It started forging the results. Later, government officials checked some of the samples themselves. They reported 3 positive cases. They may have found more. We do not have a figure yet. But what we can tell you is that Chinese officials have ordered mass testing for the area again for the 3rd time. Then we have a city called Jilin. Again, a case of botched up tests. Mass testing is being repeated. The entire city will go through nucleic acid tests again. The 3rd city on our list is Shijiazhuang. 3 days back, we got this report. A 2nd round of mass testing was conducted here. Why do they need to repeat so many tests? Perhaps they're using the same faulty test kits that China sold the world. And even after all these tests, China is at 6s and 7s about this new outbreak. It cannot figure out how big its problem is. So what is China doing? It is preparing for a flood of patients, building new hospitals, new quarantine centers. We've been reporting on this for days now. China has built a hospital in 5 days. A 1,500-room hospital in Nangong, that's south of Beijing. And they're not done with this one. China is building not 1, not 2, but 6 new hospitals. 6 new hospitals for this new outbreak. 6 hospitals with a combined capacity of 6,500 rooms, plus multiple quarantine centers with thousands of rooms. Why does China need so many new beds? The answer is quite simple. You don't build these massive facilities unless you think you'll need them. So we have a fresh outbreak, we have new cases every day, we have botched up testing, and new hospitals springing up overnight. Does all of this sound familiar to you? China went through exactly the same drill last year in Wuhan. This is a redux. Our best hope is that it remains limited to China. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.